Okay, so in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you my personal story of what I did to get my first six-figure job as a web developer. I know a lot of you out there want to get into web development and you're scared about AI and all this stuff. I'm just gonna tell you my experience of how I got into the industry so that you can, do what I did, right? And not be afraid of AI and, change your life forever like I did. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so in order to tell you the story, I gotta take you back to the beginning of 2019 when I was in my 5th year of college as a broke college student. I was very poor. So back in 2019, I think I was 22, and I didn't know what my future would be. At that point in time, I had been majoring in pharmacy. I thought I wanted to become a pharmacist. Turns out I don't like medicine. Who knew? I did, but I was too scared to admit it, and I went along with it for 5 years of studying. And then in my last month of school, I was like, I can't do this. And I actually walked out in the middle of a test that I was taking. I literally told the proctor, yo, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. And she's looking at me like I have 4 heads. Like, what are you talking about, bro? This is not where I'm supposed to be. I left. I didn't know what I was gonna do. But at that point in time, I had some friends on campus that would talk about computer science. I'd see them working on it. It looked kind of cool to me. So I was like, you know what? Let me go find out what that's about. So at the time, I started out with this book called Python for Everyone, or what is it? Python for Everybody. There's actually a class on Coursera.org called Python for Everybody, and I think Free Code Camp has a course on it as well. Either way, great beginner programming book, and Python is a great beginner programming language. I think I only read the first 10 chapters, but I got to understand the basics behind stuff you can do with a programming language. So from there, I kind of understood what coding was all about. I graduated with my bachelor's that I didn't use. By the way, I have no idea where that degree is even right now. I think it might be under my bed or something like that. I don't know. But who needs that degree? We're a 6-figure developer now, right? Who cares? So at the time, I had just graduated. I know a little Python, but I didn't know what to do. And I knew that there was more for me to learn. So I had a friend that went to St. John's University here in New York, and he told me, hey, if you want, you can come on campus and you can hang out since you don't have anything to do at home. So I was going to St. John's University at the campus, learning more programming stuff, and I was applying to jobs. Newsflash, the job market sucks. I could not find a job with my bachelor's degree. I was just told, hey man, get a master's. I'm just like, hey man, I don't have any money to pay for that. That was my reality, right? I was getting ghosted left and right from every job I applied to. But lucky for me, my mom was a nurse at a hospital, and she got me a job at the hospital doing the glamorous job of, you guessed it, hospital security. Not glamorous at all. Those were some of the darkest days of my life because I thought to myself, is this all that I've been working hard for? Like, I went through 5 years of college to work hospital security. And I'm not talking trash about people that work hospital security. Like, it's a great job. It's just not what I envisioned for myself. At that point in time, I had just found out about a platform called Free Code Camp. I hopped on Free Code Camp and I was on that website and on their YouTube channel for 2 to 3 hours a day, every day. So I go to work, I go to my lunch break, I'd be studying. My job had this computer that was there. I would pull up the terminal and I'd be practicing little coding things in there as well as on the Free Code Camp website. And then whenever my boss came back, I'd clear the terminal and then he'd be like, oh, what is this? And I'm like, oh, I have no idea. It just popped up on the screen. That's what I did for like a year, right? And I told myself, a year from now, I'm not gonna be working here anymore. And that's exactly what I did. Well, I didn't do it. That was actually around the time COVID started. So when COVID started, I got fired from my job because they couldn't afford to keep paying me, which was actually a blessing in disguise because at the time, I actually also got into a boot camp. I already knew the basics of front-end development and web development, but that boot camp really helped me tighten stuff up. So I went to Flatiron, that was the name of the boot camp, and it was an online curriculum for 6 months, and I tightened up all my skills. Now, really important pro tip for any of you guys in boot camps or just learning on your own, if you can explain what you learned to somebody else, you know it. So at the time, what I did was on the weekends, I used to run these Zoom calls with the other students in the bootcamp, and we would review the stuff that we learned, and I would lead that. But the reason why I did that was because I knew the material a little better than they did because I had studied before I got into that bootcamp on Free Code Camp, and it was a great review for me. So I did the bootcamp. 6 months later, yay, we graduate. Cool. Now it's time to look for a job. Here's the problem with looking for a job. Applying online doesn't work. I'm gonna say it again, get a little closer to the camera. Applying online does not work. I like to compare applying for a job online to trying to reach out to a famous person on Instagram or a person that has lots of followers. Why would they message you back? They have to actually go into the app, look to see who's messaging them, and then accept the message request and then respond to you. Why the hell would they do that? I think applying online is literally the same. Anytime a company tells you to apply online, it's essentially them telling you, hey, leave me alone. Right? So instead of doing that, I went on LinkedIn and I went on Indeed. I found the name of the company and I would put the name of the company into LinkedIn and I'd look at the list of employees. I would follow everyone and I'd send messages to everyone. So I was shooting my shot every day with new companies, messaging up everyone that I could find that worked there. And over time, as I kept doing that more and more every day, I got a job. And my first job as a developer was actually doing WordPress development work. I didn't make that much money doing that, but I learned a lot about web development in general and a lot about front-end development. And then from there, I leveraged that experience into becoming a Shopify developer. So I did the same thing. I hit up a bunch of companies on LinkedIn after finding them from Indeed, and I messaged all the people that work there. I managed to get in contact with the tech lead for a Shopify brand, a Shopify Plus store, and the rest was history. I applied for that job. I interviewed with them. The interview went very well. I showcased all my skills, all my knowledge, just personable, all that, right? And the crazy thing is, I didn't even think I got the job. They sent me an offer on a Friday of that week. I thought I didn't hear back from them because I didn't see the message from them. So I just thought, oh, I guess they ghosted me. The message went to spam. I actually got another email from them on Monday that said, hey, did you see the offer? I'm like, what offer? I go into my mail and I check my spam folder in my email. I saw this job offer and I'm like, this is more money than I've ever been paid before. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, cool. I'll send it over with the signature today. I was geeking out, was jumping up and down. Oh my God, mom, this is crazy. We're making money now. That's essentially what happened. And then that job was my first big break to help me become a developer and get more experience and bring you to the knowledgeable individual that you see before you today. That was very long and drawn out, but I want you to break apart my story and use it for yourself. So what did I do? So the first thing I did, if you go back to my story, is I spent a lot of time learning by myself on Free Code Camp before going to a boot camp. I spent 2 to 3 hours a day just trying to figure stuff out, learning how everything works and building projects. This is very important. As a developer, you'll do most of your learning as you're actively building things. So following courses and building along with them is great, but you don't really learn until your feet's to the fire. You have problems, and you gotta solve them yourself. That's when you actually learn. Highly recommend you do that. And what else did I say? I said that when I was job ready, I took the approach of finding the company that was hiring for a specific position, and then I looked them up on LinkedIn, and I was trying to message everyone that worked there and trying to build a little relationship with them first and then leverage that into an interview. I think that's a much better approach to interviewing as opposed to applying online. Now, the last piece here that I want to mention before I close out this little story of mine is I think one thing that really helped me was the fact that I specialized on a certain type of development. As you probably know, the tech industry is notorious for having some of the worst interview processes known to man. They ask you to do some dumb stuff you will never do in an actual job just to see if you can do it. I personally think they do it just to weed people out because they know it's annoying. And hey, if your goal is to work in big tech, like for Google or Meta or something, cool, do your thing. I was not trying to stress out over interviews. So what I did was the same thing you would do in business. I made my skill set very specific and I crafted my LinkedIn profile and everything to speak to that specific person that would be hiring me. So I learned Shopify so I can get potential offers from Shopify development companies and companies that use Shopify as a system to sell their stuff. So that's what I did. Maybe you might decide to be a developer that focuses on real estate, or that works in finance, or that works with, I don't know, lawyers or something. The point is, you want to focus your skill set because that'll help you get jobs. Or who knows, you might want to get into big tech. You just want to have a plan. That's my point here, okay? I am rambling, but that is my story about how I got my first six-figure tech job. Hopefully, you take that story and you use it as motivation to get your own money in the tech industry, because I am not special. I am just a regular guy that got focused and figured some stuff out. And I know if I can do it, you can do it too. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you should check out my most recent upload to the channel. I think you're really gonna like it. I want to talk about more development stuff on the channel as well, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you on the next video.